The opening weeks of this NBA season were supposed to bring excitement, energy, and electrifying matchups. Fans eagerly waited to tune into their favorite stars lighting up the court, chasing greatness over 82 grueling games. Instead, they're seeing something very different. The NBA is facing an injury problem, and it's a big one. That's because big names like Tyrese Maxey, Paul George, Zion Williamson, Ja Morant, Kevin Durant, Chet Holmgren, and more have all gone down in the first few months. Each of them were sidelined for weeks to months, not just days. And that's just scratching the surface of a growing crisis across the league. Injuries are up 35% from last season, and star players have missed over 1,000 games. Franchise players are falling like dominoes, leaving teams scrambling, fans frustrated, and TV ratings plummeting. So what's going on? Is this just an early season blip, or is the NBA staring down a long-term problem that's threatening the game itself? The NBA has always been a league where injuries are an unfortunate reality. The game's inherent physicality, with its constant jumping, cutting, and intense contact, inevitably leads to bumps, bruises, and more serious ailments. However, the current season is unfolding with an unprecedented ferocity, casting a long shadow over the league. Just 3 weeks into the season, star players have already missed a staggering 83 games, a 24% increase compared to the same period last year. This alarming trend is not an isolated incident either. Jeff Stotts, a renowned NBA injury expert, reports that the total games lost to injury are already at 686, and that's a 35% jump from the previous season and a significant 16% rise from the year before. These numbers paint a grim picture, highlighting the severity and frequency of injuries plaguing the league. The list of sidelined stars reads like a who's who of the NBA. Tyrese Maxey, hamstring. Zion Williamson, various injuries. Kevin Durant, various injuries also. Chet Holmgren, hip fracture. And then you have Fred VanVleet, Scottie Barnes, Paolo Banchero, and Chris Middleton. And the injuries start to pile up. The most concerning aspect, though, is that we haven't even reached the midpoint of the season. The situation just keeps getting worse by the absence of key players who were expected to be cornerstones of their teams. Joel Embiid and Kawhi Leonard, two of the league's most dominant forces, have been on the bench for most of the year. And then you have Jaylen Brown, Stephen Curry, and even Anthony Davis have already missed games, underscoring the precarious nature of player health. The league's oldest player, LeBron James, had vowed to play all 82 games this season, and that's a testament to his enduring commitment. However, even he succumbed to a foot injury before Christmas, shattering his resolve. This wave of injuries is not just a concern for individual teams, but a significant threat to the league's overall competitiveness, and of course entertainment value. With star players dropping like flies, the fabric of the season is being altered. The excitement of marquee matchups is diminished, and the competitive balance is thrown into disarray. Several factors may be contributing to this unprecedented injury crisis. The increasingly demanding schedule with its back-to-back games and long-distance travels puts immense physical strain on players. The league's emphasis on three-point shooting has also led to a more aerial style of play, and of course that increases the risk of falls and awkward landings. Plus, the constant pressure to perform at the highest level can push players to their physical limits, potentially bringing up existing injuries or predisposing them to new ones. The mental toll of the grind of the NBA season can also play a role, impacting player recovery and overall well-being. The league is facing a serious challenge. Addressing this crisis requires a multifaceted approach. One thing is the schedule needs to be reevaluated to provide players with adequate rest and recovery time. The league can also explore innovative injury prevention programs such as implementing stricter load management protocols and investing in advanced sports science and technology. Ultimately, the well-being of the players must be prioritized. The NBA's long-term success hinges on the ability of its stars to stay healthy and compete at the highest level. The current injury crisis serves as a stark reminder that the league must take proactive steps to safeguard the health of its most valuable asset. The absence of star players from the NBA court goes far beyond just altering individual team fortunes. It poses a significant threat to the league's overall health and appeal. The NBA thrives on its stars. They're the faces of the league, the players who sell jerseys, fill arenas, and drive television ratings. Their captivating performances, their electrifying athleticism, and their larger-than-life personalities are the cornerstones of the NBA's global appeal. And without them, the product suffers dramatically. Consider matchups like the Philadelphia 76ers and the Los Angeles Clippers. Before the season, this would be billed as a marquee clash, a battle between two of the league's most dominant forces, Joel Embiid, Maxey, Kawhi Leonard, James Harden, and Paul George. However, the reality has fallen short of the hype, with multiple stars sidelined by injuries, robbing the game of its anticipated star power and sinking the team's win-loss record. The impact was immediate and stark. Despite being held in the brand new state-of-the-art Intuit Dome, a gleaming testament to Clippers owner Steve Ballmer's ambition, the arena was marred by noticeable gaps in the crowd. Empty seats spoke volumes about the diminished appeal of a game missing its biggest draws. The TV ratings hold a similarly grim story. Only 1.19 million viewers tuned into the the game, a staggering 36% drop compared to the same time slot in the previous year. And this is not an isolated incident. ESPN's early season ratings are down 34%, while TNT has experienced a 14% decline. These figures translate to hundreds of thousands of fans tuning out week after week, a worrying trend for a league that relies heavily on television revenue. While factors like NFL competition and the 2024 election undoubtedly played a role, there's no denying that the absence of star players has significantly impacted viewership. When the NBA's biggest names are not on the court, the league's appeal diminishes and the fans simply lose interest. The consequences of this star-depleted landscape extend beyond diminished viewership. The NBA's global brand relies heavily on the captivating performances of its superstars. These players are the ambassadors of the league, inspiring a new generation of fans worldwide. Their absence not only hurts the league's short-term revenue, but also threatens to erode its long-term appeal and global influence. The NBA must prioritize the health and well-being of its players while simultaneously finding ways to mitigate the impact of injury, because the league's overall product is being hurt. And this may involve some things we already said, like revisiting the schedule, investing in advanced injury prevention programs, and exploring innovative ways to maintain fan engagement even when the star players are sidelined. The future of the NBA hinges on its ability to maintain the captivating performances of its NBA superstars. The league must recognize the critical role these players play in its success and take proactive steps to ensure that they're good, even when the injuries start to pile up. Despite significant efforts to protect its players, the NBA is grappling with a surge in injuries like we just said. The league has implemented measures like reducing back-to-backs, expanding medical staffs, and even introducing the player participation policy to ensure star players grace the court for marquee matchups. Yet, the injury toll continues to climb. The league's focus on star players within the player participation policy only scratches the surface of the issue. While injuries to high-profile names like Kevin Durant, Zion Williamson, and Ja Morant garner significant attention, numerous other key players are also falling victim, like Kristaps Porzingis, Aaron Gordon, and Chet Holmgren. Even though those guys aren't all necessarily deemed stars under the league's definition, they are vital contributors to their respective teams. Their prolonged absences due to injuries significantly impact their team's competitiveness. Jeff Stott's comprehensive injury database paints a sobering picture. Games lost due to injury are steadily increasing year over year, and the onset of these injuries appears to be occurring earlier in the season. This suggests that the cumulative impact of the demanding NBA schedule, coupled with the year-round demands of the modern game, is taking a significant toll on players' bodies. Basketball has always been a physically demanding sport, but the modern game has evolved into a faster, more athletic spectacle. We said this before, but the emphasis on three-point shooting has led to a way more aerial style of play, increasing the risk of falls and awkward landing. Combine this with the grueling summer tournament circuit, rigorous preseason schedules, and the relentless pressure to perform at peak levels year-round, and it's unsurprising that players' bodies are facing unprecedented levels of stress. While the league's efforts to protect its stars are commendable, a more holistic approach is needed. The focus must extend beyond star players to encompass the entire player population, recognizing the critical contributions of role players and the long-term consequences of the modern game's demands on their bodies. When star players sit out, the backlash can be swift and severe. The recent controversy surrounding Joel Embiid's absence from the Philadelphia 76ers lineup serves as a stark reminder of the heightened scrutiny surrounding player health and team transparency. A local reporter accused Embiid of sitting out games for non-injury related reasons, suggesting that he wasn't too injured to play. This allegation ignited a firestorm of debate, fueled by inconsistent messaging from the 76ers regarding Embiid's knee injury. The situation escalated, with fans and bettors questioning the legitimacy of Embiid's absences and expressing concerns about the team's transparency. The NBA ultimately fined the 76ers $100,000 for failing to accurately report Embiid's injury status, a move aimed at enforcing the league's player participation policy. However, the damage was already done. This specific incident eroded trust between the team and its fans, raising doubts about the integrity of the game and the veracity of injury reports. This episode underscores the delicate balance the NBA must strike. While prioritizing player health is paramount, the league also needs to maintain transparency and build trust with its fans. Inconsistent messaging and perceived attempts to manipulate the rules can have serious repercussions, eroding fans' confidence and damaging the league's reputation. The NBA must establish clear guidelines and protocols for injury reporting, ensuring consistent and accurate communication with fans and the media. Teams must be held accountable for adhering to these guidelines, fostering an environment of trust and transparency. Ultimately, the success of the NBA depends on maintaining a healthy and engaging product for its fans. This requires a delicate balance between protecting player health and ensuring a level of transparency that maintains fan trust and excitement. By fostering a culture of open communication and adhering to clear injury reporting protocols, the league can navigate these challenges and ensure a sustainable future for the game. The rise of load management further complicates the issue of player injuries and fan engagement in the NBA. Teams are increasingly adopting a cautious approach to managing their star players' workload, strategically resting them in certain games to prevent injuries and preserve them for the playoffs. While this strategy aims to maximize a team's chances of postseason success, it also disrupts the regular season, and in a lot of cases it can leave fans feeling cheated. LeBron James, arguably the greatest player of all time, has become a poster child for load management. Throughout his illustrious career, James has strategically sat out games, particularly during the regular season, and this is to ensure that he's at peak performance for the playoffs. While understandable from a team's perspective, these absences have sparked heated debates about the value of the regular season and the impact on the league's overall competitiveness. The rise of load management has raised concerns about the integrity of the regular season. Some argue that it diminishes the importance of individual games and undermines the competitive balance of the league. Others contend that it's a necessary measure to protect players' long-term health and maximize their performance in the playoffs. The NBA faces a delicate balancing act in addressing the issue of load management. While prioritizing player health is crucial, the league must also ensure that the regular season remains an exciting and competitive spectacle for fans. Finding a common ground that satisfies both player health and fan engagement will be a key challenge for the league in the years to come. The NBA and the Players Association needs to work together to find solutions, and this could involve revising the schedule, reducing back-to-backs, eliminating 4 games and 5-night stretches, and creating more natural rest periods. Investing in player wellness, enhancing recovery programs, improving sports science, and exploring innovative injury prevention methods. They could also promote transparency, establishing clear guidelines for injury reporting and communications with fans. And then of course they have to address the root causes, investigating the impact of the increased physicality of the game and the growing demands of the modern NBA player. The NBA is at a crossroads because the league is more popular than ever, but the constant threat of injuries hangs over every game. If the current trend continues, the league risks alienating fans, damaging its reputation, and jeopardizing the long-term health of its players. The future of the NBA depends on finding a balance between player safety, competitive integrity, and fan engagement. The league needs to prioritize the long-term health of its players while ensuring the game remains exciting and entertaining for fans. This isn't just a problem for the league to solve, because fans also have a role to play. As fans, we need to be more understanding of the challenges players face and support efforts to improve player safety. Ultimately, the goal is to ensure that the NBA remains a league where the best players in the world can compete at the highest level, year in and year out. The injury crisis in the NBA is a serious concern, but it's also an opportunity for the league to learn, adapt, and create a more sustainable future. Not only for the players, but also for the fans. What's your take? Has load management and injuries damped your excitement for the NBA? Or do you see value in only seeing players suit up when they're 100%? Leave a comment below with your thoughts. And as always, click on the screen for more basketball content.